Franklin County Board of County Commissioners now back in session. Up next, I believe, Mr. Morone, correct me if I'm wrong, would be ARPC and WSP Evan Blythe with an update about the Living Shoreline project.
Yes, it is. I see Rick Harder on there. There's Josh and Evan. Where are you?
It will not be Evan, just me and Rick today. Evan's
Okay.
at a training, so
That works.
Yeah.
I can share my screen for y'all, and
That should not be a problem.
Yeah. All right. Are you able to see this?
Yep.
Yeah, Josh, we got
All right.
it. Go ahead, sir.
All right, very good. So, no, we're running late today, so we can keep things speedy here. Me and Rick would like to give you an update on the Franklin 98 project, everything that's happened to date, including a little bit of the background for anyone new who might not be familiar with the project, everything that has kind of led up to this point in time. And we're at a really exciting place in time in that we're finally submitted our permits to Army Corps of Engineers and DEP. Those are being reviewed now, and we're hoping that we're going to be able to break ground on the project early next year. So,
Hey, Josh.
Yeah.
Josh, sorry to interrupt. You've got the view showing that shows the little slides and the notes and all that. Maybe if there's a way you could just have it show the slide bigger, it'd be easier for them to see.
Yep.
Maybe that view.
All right, I'll just keep it open like this then.
Okay.
All right, so here is, and thanks, Rick. So everyone, that was Rick Harder, WSP. So this is the area bounded in this red box is about the East Point breakwater all the way to Carabel Beach. And we're not anticipating a full coverage of this area. This is about 12 miles. But we're expecting to be able to create reef and marsh in this general zone. So if this right now is kind of characteristic, well, FDOT has worked on the right of way, so this is covered up. But historically, yeah, the roadway is just protected by seawalls and riprap. But the project that we would like to continue pursuing and conduct will see if we call this gray infrastructure, and that's characteristic on this right side. You see the rock revetments and bulkheads. We're really trying to do something in the middle here, create breakwaters and sills to allow for the encouragement growth of vegetation. So not vegetation only and not bulkhead or revetment only, but somewhere in the middle of this is what we're going for. So this is the pier at Gramercy Plantation. So the idea how the project works, the Franklin 98 project, just like kind of what you see in this picture, we're going to have materials that are in the water to reduce wave energy. That wave energy reduction is going to be done in such a way that it allows for this seagrass, this Spartina grass, to grow up behind it. So this is after Hurricane Michael, the bottom picture, and you see that the pier is destroyed, but remaining in place is that grass and a little bit of that elevated sediments that the Spartina was catching and trapping. So we did a series of stakeholder outreach meetings. It took about a year between 2019 and end of 2020. I believe that we had about 12 meetings. So we had, I thought, pretty good turnout from the community there. We discussed that Gramercy Pier example. We had large 8-foot maps that we rolled out, asked for citizens to take sticky notes and give us kind of all information that they have on the road, whether or not it's this area washes out a lot, this area we like to fish, keep that open for access, that sort of thing, and some very preliminary data collection gathering. So the bottom right picture is just a wave run-up model, so we have a better idea of what kind of wave climate conditions exist in the study area. So our specific restoration goal and goals for the project are we want to establish 20 acres of new reef and 30 acres of new marsh. This is going to give us a more ecological, productive bay, increased resiliency with the reefs, and the marsh can absorb some of that wave energy, and so hopefully the road won't wash out nearly as much, or if it does, the damage won't be as great as it has been. And then economic development, if we can help to increase the fishery, if we're able to employ some of the local workforce to help us work on the reefs, that would be a highly successful project for us. So on the bottom right, this innovative layout that we're thinking is we want the reefs to be very amorphous, to look natural, just like an oyster reef would in the wild. We want to kind of stay away from these linear designs because the design on the right offers better habitat as well as increased wave reduction compared to the linear reefs and that kind of layout. So phase 1, the stakeholder outreach, was funded by FDEP, and then phases 2 and 3, which we're currently working on right now, is funded through the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation. That's the Gulf Environmental Benefit Fund, and then the Emergency Coastal Resiliency Fund, the ECRF, and those come out of Hurricane Michael, as well as these aren't the BP oil spill, but Hurricane Michael, and I forget what the other one was. Right?
Yeah, Gulf Environmental Benefit Fund is Deepwater Horizon oil spill.
Oh, okay, yeah. So Deepwater Horizon and Hurricane Michael funds, and so they're specifically designed to those funds to go back into the communities where both those events have caused disruption and damages. So that's kind of a bit of the engagement side, background, operations. I'm going to turn it over to Rick. And Rick, you just let me know when you want me to advance the slides, but he's going to discuss some of the data and collection that have gone on to date, and then get into where we're headed, which is selecting materials for the project and finishing if we're at a 30% design, go into that 70%, and then eventually for the whole design of the project area. Rick?
All right, great. Thank you very much, Josh. Just to reiterate real quickly what Josh was saying, the last time we presented an update to you, we were during that phase 1, and since then, partly due to the support of the county, Regional Planning Council has been able to bring in $15 million of grant funds to design, permit, monitor, build, the whole shebang in terms of making the project happen. And I will tell you, especially I know this is extremely important to many of you. A lot of that funding is going to go straight into Franklin County because of the jobs, the work that takes place, the construction, the travel to the county, and also workforce within the county. And so look forward to more of that in the future. But first, let me talk about sort of where we are now, and mostly in terms of the project design. So in order to inform the project design, we collected a lot of data, elevation data using sonar and LiDAR and all these different techniques to capture elevation data. That was done last summer, and then some more over this past winter. We're going to be doing it again this year, and really for the next few years after that. It's annual. Some of the annual monitoring that we're going to do is kind of provide some LiDAR data sets, that's elevation data sets, using airplane data collected. We've also done some ecological characterization and benthic habitat mapping, endangered species surveys. Those really help to help us build the project in a way so that we don't cause any environmental damage and so that we maximize the benefits of what we are proposing. The hydrodynamic data collection, that's really basically the waves and the currents. So we put a number of wave gauges out and different types of equipment to measure that. We want to understand exactly what sort of wave energy the shoreline receives now. And then we're also looking at areas like the Gramercy Pier, where marsh is thriving, and make sure that, okay, we create areas that have calm enough water to allow that same type of habitat to occur in other areas along the shoreline. And then the geotechnical survey was just sampling to make sure that the sediments are appropriate for the type of habitats we're looking to produce. Okay, next slide, please. So some of the primary design considerations, that section of shoreline has a great deal of seagrass. We want to make sure that we're avoiding that, so therefore we need to know exactly where it is. We're proposing a 15-foot buffer between anything we build and any existing seagrasses. Again, I mentioned the wave climate. That's really important because if you have too much wave activity, you can't get the salt marsh to be established. And then the bathymetry is really, it's the water depths. We want to make sure that that we're building an area where it makes the most sense. We want to stretch the construction budget as far as possible so that we get the most bang for the buck in terms of amount of reef and wave attenuation to help protect the shoreline and provide habitat for the bay. And of course, there's things like regulatory considerations. We've been talking with the regulators, Florida DEP and the Army Corps of Engineers, and of course, stakeholder input. Not only did we have a lot of meetings during phase one, which was the feasibility study with both the public and all the different agencies that might be involved, but we've continued to have those stakeholder meetings, public meetings, interagency meetings, and we will continue to have those meetings throughout the project. Stakeholder input is super important. We've got a Facebook page set up. We've been doing news articles. We've even got t-shirts. I mean, we want to do everything we can to make sure that everybody who has any interest in that, whether they are waterfront property owner, a fisherman, somebody who just happens to drive that section of shoreline, we want to make sure we hear from everybody, and we're doing our very best to reach out to all of them. And then, of course, coastal infrastructure. There are certain areas of the shoreline that have been receiving more damage from storms. We want to make sure that we focus in on protecting that public infrastructure as much as possible. Okay, next slide, please. So one of the things that we have done is we have an online map set up, and there's a link here that anybody, and hopefully everybody, will go to that and look at what is the preliminary design. It is not a final design, it's just a preliminary design, and give us feedback. If there are certain areas of interest and you want to provide some feedback for a certain area, you can open that map up. Anybody can access it from the internet. You can click on either a dot over on the right or a polygon. So, if you want to draw a shape around an area, and you just type in whatever your comment is, and that way we can get that information and help work that into our design. Types of feedback that we're looking for, if there's a particular area of shoreline that, somebody, let's say it's somebody's property and they like to have a little sandy beach because that's where they launch their kayak or something. We want to make sure, hey, be sure we leave a sandy beach area here. Or, hey, I have a really bad erosion problem, or I've noticed a really bad erosion problem here. What can we do to maximize the protection for this particular area? So we hope that everybody, including all of you on the board, will go to this map, use it to zoom in and pan up and down the coast and look at sort of what is currently on the table for discussion. It's got two shapes in there. There's the green shapes, those are proposed marsh, and the pink shapes are proposed reef. We just chose the colors because they're easy to differentiate from each other. Don't worry, the reefs will not be bright pink. So what will they be? Let's go to the next slide, please. So we're looking at a number of different options for materials to use for the reef materials. Of course, there's the traditional rocks or recycled concrete, which is typically what you see used as riprap along the shoreline. It's very common. It's also very easy to obtain. There's also some other materials that are being tested that have been out there for over a year now. You've probably seen some of those little test materials. These are pictures that show that same type of material, but different shapes. And this is one of the things that we have really focused on is what type of reef materials can provide the best predator protection. And so this oyster catcher product, which is basically a jute twine or vegetative fiber that's soaked in cement, and then it's shaped into different shapes. It's got a lot of little tiny spaces that are open where juvenile oysters can get established and grow up so that they're big enough that they're less likely to get eaten and get better survival and better colonization that way. Next slide, please. Some additional type of materials we're looking at. These would be a little bit farther offshore, not really at the edge of the reefs. The other ones would be more likely right along the edge of the reefs. Again, riprap or recycled concrete, possibly reef balls. On the bottom left, you see two reef balls. One on the left has been completely colonized with oysters, and you really can hardly even tell that there's a reef ball inside there. And the one on the right is what it looks like before it goes in the water. Over on the far bottom right is some more of that oyster catcher material. This picture right here is what it looks like before it goes in the water. That was actually the day it went in the water. If you want to see what those look like, you can stop at one of the test sites and take a look. There's some of those at Tatesville State Forest, as well as farther down to the east, right along where Herndon Road is. Oh, at the bottom right photo here shows a bunch of those tabletops that have been in the water a lot longer, and those are really kind of, in a straight line. That's not really what we're envisioning. We're looking for more organically shaped, reefs. So I think that's probably as far into it as we need to go. If you would go ahead and skip a couple of slides forward, Josh, and if you want to just wrap it up, see if there's any questions.
Yeah, so this slide and the next one is just a little bit of rendering of what the project, once it's accomplished, might look like, rather than seeing that exposed riprap. And also FDOT is revegetating the right-of-way. They have a big project that is supposed to conclude at the end of this year, where they're actually installing more salt-tolerant vegetation rather than just sod along the roadway. But so we have this, and then this one also, same picture, just with Spartina filled into it, so you can get a sense of what a successful project might look like a few years down the road. And here is Rick and my contact information. So yes, if the board does have any questions for us, we'd be more than happy to answer any questions.
And also just an open invitation for anybody that ever wants to visit the site. We're happy to come down, do a site visit anytime. We're down there working along the coast a lot. We've presented in the past to the East Point Civic Association, and hopefully we can have an update for them very soon. And any other groups that may be interested, we're more than happy to come and present either in person or do a virtual presentation. Our goal is to get as many people involved in the discussion as possible.
Thank you, guys. Quick question. This is Commissioner Ricky Jones. You mentioned that you're in the preliminary of the design. What kind of time frame are you guys working on to go to an actual design? And then from there, I know it's hard to anticipate, but how far are you looking for you're going to actually start doing the project?
Sure. Great questions. So I'll go ahead and take that if that's all right, Josh. So we are probably the slowest or sort of the bottleneck of the whole process is the permitting. So we're expecting it's going to take about a year, hopefully less, to get the permits. We're hopeful that the beginning of next calendar year we'll be able to start with construction. And I would say this fall we're going to be wrapping up the 90% design and the 100% design as we continue having those interagency meetings, those public meetings, stakeholder meetings, and really meeting individually with as many waterfront property owners in that area as possible. We want to talk to each and every one of them.
Okay, good. That's good to know. That's good to be informed. Another question is, so if you're looking at maybe it's going to be wrapped up where you can start doing the actual work in 2022, I don't know, I'm sure it's all a work in progress, but on the current 5-year plan, DOT has repaving from Franklin Street and East Point all the way to the Carabel Bridge. Is there a sense where you guys are going to maybe get caught in their road work and it give you an issue with delaying this project as well?
I don't anticipate that. I mean, our project is from the east side of the East Point Breakwater towards the east, and I think most of that DOT work is to the west. Now, I will say the shoulder work that DOT has planned includes planting along certain areas along the highway where our study area is, and we've already been in discussion with the folks that have done that design to help coordinate so that when it does come time for construction, that everybody's in agreement for where the best staging areas are, the best access points. So we are coordinating.
Their roadway engineer, we've been keeping them in the loop. They really like the project layout as proposed right now, especially if we can offset some of the damages associated with, in particular, some of the outfall locations, culverts. They really liked that. And kind of what Rick mentioned, we will have to have 2 permits from the Department of Transportation for staging along and utilizing the right-of-ways. So we continue to have conversations with FDOT.
Okay, that's good. The other thing that come up, particularly with FDOT, talking to Chris Doolin, who's our guy for Small County Coalitions the other day, the states our DOT in particular is looking at getting $2 billion from the American Rescue Plan for infrastructure. So there's going to be a push for them to move up their timelines on some of their projects. I just didn't want you guys to get caught, but hearing you guys state publicly that y'all are already in contact with them, that answers all my questions about DOT and what's going on with that.
Yeah, and we've got we'll continue being in contact with them, and especially as we get closer to any kind of on the ground activity.
Sounds good.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
Hey, Rick, I really like those oyster pillows you showed. They look so customizable. And
yeah, they are. The cool thing about them is they have so much protection from the predators. Like you can put them out. You can even fill them with oyster shells, and the juvenile oysters get a chance to get established. And my hope is that, I mean, this is a big project, right? My hope is that whatever materials we use can be sourced from within Franklin County using Franklin County workers, residents. We've already been, for years now, have been in conversation with Franklin Promise Coalition and the Conservation Corps of the Forgotten Coasts program to see how we can work them into the construction phase. They helped us by installing the test materials that you see out there now. So there's a lot of opportunity to include them. I will also tell you, we are looking for opportunities to work with commercial fishermen who have existing oyster lease areas that they're currently working. We're working with the FSU Coastal and Marine Lab, who's setting up a hatchery, looking at what they can do to create some good strains of native oyster stock that are more resilient, and hopefully that all three of those different pieces fit together so that maybe the FSU can seed some of the reef materials, the seafood workers can grow out the materials and deploy them on the reefs, and all of that will help speed up the colonization of the reefs by various organisms.
So Dr. Brooks came and gave us a video of her science there at the Marine Lab about recultivating the bay. Have you showed her those oyster pillows to complement her science?
Yeah, we have a standing call with her. I think it's on a monthly basis. We have a standing call with her to collaborate on research. We share our data, they share their data, and we've walked the site with Dr. Brooks and others as well. So yeah, that's an important part of this, is the research piece of it, and how to really use the best and newest technology to make it most successful.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Listening to the different timelines, it would be awesome if some of this restoration could take place before DOT does the actual paving from East Point to Carabel, thereby protecting that road better than what we've had in the past.
Yep.
And the other issue
Indeed.
is, as you're looking for riffraff, we had the East Point, what's the name of that group?
Civic.
Yeah, they were here this
Association.
morning and wanting us to help them, figure out what we could do with some of the riffraff as they tear down 2 or 3 concrete buildings. So my point is, there may be riffraff available, working with the East Point group and using some of that riffraff to actually make some of these reefs that the ARPC is talking about.
It's handy for them.
So that could present you with some viable options as far as riffraff goes, if you work in conjunction with
East Point Civic Association.
East Point Civic Association.
There you go.
So I just wanted to put that in there, because we're trying as a county to figure out what to do with this riffraff, because we as a county really don't use a lot of it, but it could be very beneficial for you. But we need to get ahead of it, because we want to know they need to know when they're tearing these buildings down and all this different riffraff, what size riffraff you're actually going to want to utilize, so they don't break it up into too smaller pieces, which can be carried through with the tidal surge and wave action, as you know. So that needs to be talked about here pretty quickly between you and the East Point Civic Group as to what sizes would be suitable.
Yeah, so Josh and I were both present for all of this morning's proceedings, and so yeah, that was something that we've discussed, and really too, somebody had made the comment that Mr. Davis may have some additional concrete that's starting to pile up somewhere. Maybe at the landfill. So yeah, I mean, definitely there's a possibility here to recycle some materials that otherwise would just be a liability.
So with all that, I'm sorry.
To that point also, before that building is demolished, rehabbed, et cetera, there may be a need for us to do an environmental site assessment for that. So we also have a grant that's out there still available that we need to aggressively draw down, so we can do a lead-based paint survey, we can check for asbestos, general phase 1 environmental assessment to make sure there's nothing bad hanging out there, or anything that was associated with the fire. We can do that, and if y'all could, or maybe I can get with Michael later on and point us in the right direction to to hash that out a little bit more. That'd be great. We could get this thing rolling.
I will. With all that said, once I get contact information for the owner, the owner representative's name, I will pass on Josh, you and Rick's contact information so they can reach out to you guys. You guys have that discussion.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Michael.
Thank you. Anyone else have any questions for either Josh or Rick? Guys, it was a great presentation. Thank you for wading through everything with us today and waiting your time. And it was very valid and good information to be shared publicly.
Yeah, and we're happy to give you an update anytime. Just let
Thank
us
you.
know.
Thank you.
All right, so is Ms. Deborah on the line, our CDBG administrator?
Yes, she is.
Deborah
There
Belcher?
she is.
She is next.
Well, good afternoon, Commissioners.
Good afternoon.
Hey there. No action items for you, just letting you know that we are done with the East Point wildfire CDBG grant.
Yay.
All the homes are installed. We think there's a little warranty work still going on, but other than that, we're done. We'll be doing a closeout report hopefully by the end of May. We have some invoices that will be submitted for work completed at the end of April. And then we'll close that grant out. Have not heard from DEO about the dune restoration grant application we submitted for St. George Island under Hurricane Michael, disaster recovery. So that's the only thing I have hanging out there at this point in time. And I'll let you know if I find out something before you do on that. You might find out before I do.
Okay, sounds good, Ms. Deborah. Quick question. The normal CDBG cycle that we were in pre the East Point wildfire, what day are we past the dates for that for this next coming year, or what are the dates for that?
Well, they have not announced yet when they're opening the cycle.
Okay.
So I want to go ahead and get that closeout report submitted.
Okay.
So what happens is when we get the bills paid, so that'll be the May 18th meeting when you release checks. After that, we can do the reimbursement request, and then once the reimbursement request is submitted, we can submit the closeout report.
Okay. Sounds
So I don't think that there will be a problem with being eligible to apply, unless they do a real unannounced announcement.
Yeah.
But I think the county should be eligible.
good. Okay. Anyone else have a question for Ms. Deborah while she's here? Ms. Deborah, thank you for your time today, and thank you for the process we all went through to try to help get these residents into a new home after they lost it from the fire. Thank you.
Thank you. I think the customers are happy. So
Thank you very much.
thank you.
All right. Ms. Lori Schweitzer, Mills Ship Administrator.
Mm-hmm.
She on the line?
Trying to get her to unmute right now.
Okay, she is next.
Is she there? Yep, she's unmuted. Go ahead, Lori. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Good afternoon.
So I have an update on the SHIP and the Hurricane Housing Recovery Fund. So that's HHRP for short. So for those funds, we advertised in April for the bids for the bid package number 2 to replace 4 more mobile homes. We had the pre-bid meeting on April 14th. We opened the bids on April 28th. There were 2 bidders, Ironwood Mobile Homes of Perry and Clayton Homes. Ironwood Mobile Homes of Perry won all 4 of the bids. Since the last bid package in July, the prices of the mobile homes have went up dramatically due to the cost of materials to build them. When we opened the bids, I was concerned that we would not have the funds to help the last few applicants on the list. So I called Florida Housing to see if there are any more HHRP funds available to cover the increase in cost. There are no more funds available. However, I did speak to Angela Webster with Capital Area Community Action to see if they can cover the cost of some of the extra necessary things needed, like would be septic replacements, engineered foundations, land clearing, tap fees, etc. I was told that they can help with some or all of the costs. Their limit is $10,000 per applicant. So I'll be working with them to get these costs covered. So even with CAP taking care of some of the costs, we'll still be over the $75,000 mobile home replacement limit. But I'm going to go ahead and go over the bids for the 4 mobile homes. So for Miss Patricia Moore, Ironwood Mobile Homes bid $72,399.05. That price does not include an engineered foundation of $8,500 if that's needed, and we'll know this after they do the elevation certificate. Clayton Homes bid $124,000. All right, and then I already have had her septic system pumped out and inspected. It did not pass, so she'll need a new septic system. That is one of the things the Capital Area Community Action should be able to pay for. So they'll take care of that. Okay, for the next one, Mary and Christopher
Yes,
Stokes.
hold on just a second, Ms. Lori.
Ironwood.
Ms. Lori, hold on
Sure.
just a second. I have a question.
Okay.
On this, Commissioner Parrish, on your first, Patricia Moore, 552 Oyster Road, it says price does not include the engineered foundation of $8,500. And you're
Right.
talking about Capital Area Community Action will most likely be able to help put a septic system in, which is probably good. I don't know what a septic system is. A septic system's around
Yeah,
$8,000. Is around $8,000 too, right?
Correct.
Okay, and they're capped
They're
at
not gonna be
$10,000,
able to-
right? That's what you.
Around that.
That's what the report says,
it could
but
be
if they need
less.
an engineered foundation, they
Yeah.
also need a septic system, that's $16,500, so you're gonna come up short there, even with Capital Area's help. How are we gonna bridge that
Correct.
shortfall? And that's just on the first trailer. How are we gonna bridge that shortfall?
Well, I was gonna get to that on the approval of the bid. I was just gonna add it in there, and I was gonna ask you for one of the action items to increase the limit for mobile home replacement from 75 to 86,000. That would take care of all 4 of these, and hers would not exceed 81,324.05, and if she had to have the engineered foundation.
Okay, that's the only question I had. I just wanted to stop while it caught my attention on the very first one. So
Okay.
we know where we're going.
Yep.
Okay, proceed, please.
All right. Okay, so Mary and Christopher Stokes, the Ironwood bid $80,269.80, and Clayton Homes bid $136,000. I have already had their septic system pumped out and inspected, and theirs passed, so we don't have to worry about that on them. And the next one is Emily Sullivan. Ironwood Homes bid $79,069.80, and Clayton Homes bid was $138,000. And then for Robert Lattimore, Ironwood Homes bid $85,869.80. Also for him, the price does not include an engineered foundation of $8,500 if it's needed. Clayton Homes bid $148,000 for his. Capital Area Community Action should be paying for the engineered foundation if it is required. We won't know that until we get the elevation certificate. All right, so the first action item that I needed was to increase the limit for the mobile home replacements from $75,000 to $86,000. That would cover all 4 of these, and hopefully any more that we do.
So moved.
So we have a motion by Commissioner Parrish to approve,
Second.
second by Commissioner Ward. Any discussion? I have something I want to ask in discussion. So, and I'm not trying to stop the process. Are we sure we're getting the same thing for these quotes with a $50,000 or $60,000 difference between two vendors on one single wide trailer?
Yeah. Well, we put the bid package out for a basic mobile home like the other 8 that we did, and that's the
Right.
bids that I received back.
Okay, and they're all Zone 3, correct?
Yes.
And none of them are within 1,500 feet of the water, are they?
No.
Because that would mean there'd have to be exposure D on top of that. Okay, I just wanted
Correct.
to.
None of
just such a
these
big
are exposure
difference.
D. We
Yeah, it's
had
just such a
2
big
on the
difference,
last
Lori.
8 that we did. Yes, I agree.
What the last one cost, Lord?
What did the last one cost, Lori, for Mr. Lattimore?
$85,869.80. That's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, single wide. He is in a flood zone. He is in Carabel. So we're not sure about the actual engineered foundation yet. I guess we'll know that soon.
Okay. Any more discussion before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That passes unanimously, Jessica. And Lori, that passed.
Okay. Okay, the next action item is approval of the 4 bids. So for Miss Patricia Moore, I have the mobile home, $72,399.05. I went ahead and added the possible engineered foundation of $8,500 and the pump out and inspection fee that has already been paid. That was $425. So her total, I put on hers not to exceed, because I don't know if we need the engineered foundation yet. So her total not to exceed $81,324.05. Is there any questions on that one?
No, I think we're good. Go ahead.
Okay, so on the next one, the Stokes, the mobile home, $80,269.80. Their pump out and inspection, which has already been paid, was $425. So the total cost for them would be $80,694.80. And then Emily Sullivan, she doesn't need any elevation certificates or anything like that. So her total is $79,069.80. And then Robert Lattimore, this is only for his mobile home also, as CAP is supposed to help with his engineered foundation if he has to have one. His total is $85,869.80. So that's the 4 bids that I need approved today.
Okay. Pleasure of the board.
So move.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Ward,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bolt. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That carries unanimously. Anything else,
Okay.
Lori?
If it turns out the Capital Area Community Action cannot pay for any of these additional costs for some reason, of course, I'll bring it back to you for approval. You know, they're very confident that they can pay it. So, after we have the final numbers for these 4 replacements, we'll then be able to determine if we can replace the 2 additional mobile homes that I had on the list. I was hoping that we could do.
What your total be then?
And that's, okay.
What your total be?
So, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
What your total be? How many without the last 2? What would be your total trailers?
12.
12?
12 replacements, yes.
Okay.
It's not too bad, Commissioner.
And the last,
I'm sorry, Lori, I was saying that
sorry.
that's not too bad. You know, as the ship has never been able to work on mobile homes in the past. This
Yeah,
is
I
the
know.
first opportunity we've had, and replacing 12 homes in the county is not a bad deal. Go ahead, Lori, I'm sorry.
right, and plus, of course, we did house repairs of 50,000 each already. 1, 2, 3. We did 6 of those, and we did some mobile home repairs, and we're still working on those. That's for 5, possibly 6, just depending on how much funds we have left and what else we can do with it.
So the funds you're talking about now are still HHRP funds, correct, from Hurricane Michael?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay. I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, and we had received additional 480,000 in funds in addition to that. So that's how I was able to keep going and do some more.
And these additional funds are still tied to Hurricane Michael, correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure what we're talking about.
Well, you ain't got no
Yeah.
deadline on it, do you? You don't have a
I'm sorry, it
deadline
was
on it.
300. It was 380 additional funds, not 480,000.
No, well, Ms. Laura, you don't have no deadline on it, right?
No, I have to have all of the 1920, the first pot of money encumbered by June 30th, and it is. I've almost have it spent, and I'm working on the second pot of money.
Okay.
And Lori, to address something we were talking about earlier, I don't know if you were listening to the meeting or not. We had someone in public comments talking about SHIP funds. I know last year SHIP didn't get any money, and I don't know this year if
Right.
the legislature put any money in SHIP. So you got in your report that you have a total of 68,945.84. Is that from the traditional SHIP dollars left?
That is for this year's funds. We did not get any, but we do have house payments and interest coming in.
Uh-huh.
And also, we had one of the houses that we built some years ago was paid off, and that was a $60,927 check.
Okay.
So I'll be working on getting those spent as well, but that's all program income.
Well, let me ask you a question on that deal. Like you said, one of them we built years ago. Do you take that money and bill her nothing, or y'all just use it for repair?
For which money?
So the money you got, that house was paid off. So it goes back into the SHIP funds, but do you, I guess what Commissioner Lockley is asking, does it go right back into specifically that one strategy that we would refer to of building a new house, or you put it back in there, you divide it amongst all the strategies?
Yes, I will put it back in there, and since I have just a little bit of a waiting list left on rehabilitation, I was planning to use that for repairs.
Okay,
But I can use it any way, you prefer.
okay.
Well, that's good to know, because we did have a discussion earlier about the current policy the board has for $25,000 for a repair. And I realized that
Yes.
the board said that several years back, and I think they did with the object of if it was set at this amount, we could possibly help more people than going with a higher amount and helping less people. But that was a discussion because, sometimes a house might require more than that. So that's something that this board needs to decide if it wants to change or try to redo, because it's our policy. So I just wanted you to be aware of the
Correct.
discussion we had.
Well, see, and another thing is this. I don't know what the contractors get, but right about long enough, when you're working on houses, lumber done
Right.
doubled.
Yes,
Lumber done doubled, so,
yes.
And we said at 25,
Yeah. Yep.
you're not gonna get that much. I mean,
Especially
I
now
look-
with the building materials so high.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. The building material, they sky high. 2x4 cost you $12, 8 foot. That's a pine stud.
Yeah.
And, you know, sheet of half-inch plywood, $50.
Oh, yeah.
So
Right, it's
everything,
Terrible.
and I don't know. I guess being the ones who doing the work, they got to be paid. The homeowners, they not getting too much out the deal. And right longer now with all this going on, I
And
mean,
what,
they don't
Correct.
get too much left.
No,
what's not helping Commissioner Lockley is, so it's looking like we're gonna have 2 consecutive years that the state hasn't funded CHIP. So we can change our policy, but we don't have any money.
I was just gonna say that.
We don't have no money there, so it don't
Right.
know what the policy
That's
is.
exactly what the problem is
You
right now.
know, that's an issue.
So Laurie, exactly how much money do you have in SHIP at the moment to work with? $68,000, 69,000? The 68.9, is that all?
I have 2021, that's the 68,945.84. And
Okay.
then I also have, I have, this year's funding, last year's funding, 1920 funds. I have that all encumbered. So, I really can't say I have much of that left.
Yeah. So,
Because it's getting ready to be spent on the repairs, and I have, the last down payment is, getting ready to close, I hope.
okay, so you basically have 68.9 to work
Yes.
with until the state government decides whether they're going to fund SHIP this year or not, which I'm not sure where they are with that, to be
Right.
very honest with you. I
Right,
think-
I'll be
On the
working on
governor's desk is
getting,
where it's at.
Yeah, Senator
getting these spent.
Senator Osley this morning basically said, she kind of gave us some insight that if it's funded, it won't be to the normal 350 that we
No.
get. She
No.
kind of hinted at that, but didn't give us a number. So,
Oh, wow, okay.
yeah, so that's not good.
Okay. Anything else,
Well,
Lori?
hopefully that'll change.
Anyone else have anything for Ms.
That
Lori
is-
while she's here?
All right.
Lori, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we starting some bids today, or is it?
Yeah.
We're finally making it down there, huh?
Okay, I think Aaron's going to read item 1 off of our action report, page 7, under P, action items. And then I'll start to open and then
Start with these.
start with these?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Today we are opening the RFQs for the countywide dune restoration study and the St. George Island Stormwater Drainage Improvement Project. Once the RFQs are open, the board will turn the RFQs over to the evaluation committee as designated at your April 6th meeting. Myself, Alan Pierce, and Mark Currington to evaluate the responses and make a recommendation to the board. Upon selection/confirmation of the recommended firm, county staff will then begin negotiations to create a budget to accomplish the scope of work in the RFQ. As reported at your meeting on February 16th, the contract will not be able to be awarded until the grant is formally approved by Treasury. At this time, Franklin County is still awaiting the final review. All costs associated with this work will be paid by Restore funds.
So, well, you tell them this is,
Okay.
yeah, which one are you opening first?
Okay, this is MRD for just, okay.
And
The
which
first
project is
one,
that for?
This one is for the countywide dune restoration study. This is MRD Associates Incorporated from Destin, Florida.
Just for the study,
It is for the countywide dune restoration study.
I don't like the study.
Okay, and the second one is submitted by WSP USA Incorporated, and they are located in, let's see here. Where were it?
Mr. Mr. Chairman, Rick Harder, isn't it,
Yes.
is it WSP, the same company you think?
It is. It's exactly the same company.
Yeah, we don't see a location or address, just
It's-
WSP.
Tallahassee should be on the
Oh,
cover there.
Rick is there. Hey, Rick.
Okay.
Hi there.
We thought that was you. Okay, cool. All right.
Okay.
So now we're gonna move on to,
And this is the St. George Island Stormwater Drainage Improvement.
So the first one had two.
Yep, the first one had two. Yep. Okay. All right, this one is Kimley Horn, and Kimley Horn is located in,
on the front.
Tallahassee, Florida.
Go ahead and read from the front.
Yep.
I'll open it up to make sure.
Okay. The second one is going to be from DRMP, Engineers, Surveyors, Planners, and Scientists from Tallahassee, Florida.
Pull out one of the packets to verify.
Yep. That's correct, DRMP.
Can you see this one?
The third one is from Dewberry Engineers, and they're located in Port St. Joe.
Good?
Yep.
Is that all of them?
Okay, and the fourth one is Keith Engineering, and they are located in Pompano Beach, Florida.
There you go. That's it.
Yep, a total of 4.
Okay, so two on the first one, four on the second one.
Yep.
And we can do this by one motion?
Yes, actually, we just need board action to release the responses to the RFQ solicitation to the evaluation committee.
Okay.
Is it the same evaluation committee for both projects?
It is.
Did we already state their names on the record?
We did.
Okay, good.
Yep.
All right, so pleasure of the board.
So move.
All right, motion to approve by Commissioner Ward,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bolt. Any discussion before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passes unanimously. You have something to review.
Yeah.
Okay, item number 2 on my report is perimeter plants for the East Point dredging spoil site. At the April 6, 2021 meeting, the planting plan for the East Point dredging project was discussed and later approved by FWC. The plan calls for a vegetative fringe for perimeter stabilization along the spoil site. As the county owns and maintains the spoil site, the needed plants are the county's responsibility. Ms. Jenna Harper Ainer has agreed to use her staff and volunteers to plant the vegetation with cooperation from the Conservation Corps of the Forgotten Coast to harvest, transport, propagate, deliver, install, and monitor the plants over a period of up to 3 years. Included today on the county bill list was a check for $5,500 made payable to the Friends of the Reserve for 2,250 marsh grass plants in 4-inch pots, which will be split by Ainer and grown into the 4,500 to 5,000 plants that are needed at the site. The county is requesting reimbursement for the cost of the plants from the County Soil and Conservation Board. And today, we're requesting board action to authorize the $5,500 expenditure to the Friends of the Reserve.
So move.
Have a motion by Commissioner Bolt,
Second.
second by Commissioner Ward. Discussion, sir?
Yes, I understand what we're doing here, but are they fixing to purchase these plants now when we're not really sure when the dredging will take place?
They-
We know that we've been told September of next year, but if we purchase a bunch of plants here in May and June, and it's months down, who's going to look after these plants and keep them all alive and all of that,
That's
months
actually,
ahead of time?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be handled by ANER. They're actually going to monitor the plants and also have them there on site, actually at their facility, and that's where they'll be doing, having a nursery, kind of a grow operation where they're trying to get the plants to grow into the 4,500 to
And they're
5,000
gonna
that
take care
they
of them
need.
until such time that they're ready to be
They are.
planted, which is after the dredging occurs.
Yep, that's correct.
Because you can't plant these things before the dredging, or you liable to cover them up with dredge material, so
Yes.
nothing can be planted till they're completely done with the East Point Channel. I
Yeah.
hope they do it in September, but I don't
Yeah.
know, I was told September last year too.
Tell me
Yeah.
about it.
I just wanna make sure
Yeah.
that we weren't
Yeah,
extending ourselves too far ahead of the program.
yes. Well, Commissioner Parrish, they're also supposed to be, in essence, doubling the plants.
Yeah,
Because
I
they're
see
using
what he's
those
splitting
to make
them.
more, so that's gonna take a little amount of time. But hopefully, we'll be getting some kind of, something from the Corps that give us at least, say that they set a contract or set a date for somebody to be here. So that'll help, with it. All we can do is try.
Well, what happened during the pandemic, everything going up, and they don't have enough money to buy that stuff.
Oh, you're talking about this plant stuff? No, they've already got the price for that. They just got that price and asked us about it. So they're gonna go ahead and purchase it.
They got a guaranteed price?
I guess so. That's what the amount of money they asked for.
Check's already been wrote, right?
They guaranteed to not get no more than what we approved.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Triple the price.
Yes,
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
they have about 4 months to double the
Yes.
colony of these plants.
yes, yes.
They do that in 4 months. Amazing. Okay, we'll
Apparently
watch.
they're stating they can.
Okay.
Any more discussion before we vote? We still have to vote, correct, Jessica?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passes unanimously. Carry on.
Item number 3, Franklin County is beginning preparations for the fiscal year 2021-2022 budget. All budget requests must be submitted by June 15th, 2021. I've prepared the attached draft budget request letter with the following instructions. At the direction of the board, please keep your request at your current adopted budget. Please be aware the long-term financial impact from COVID-19 as it pertains to the economy nationwide and state shared revenues is uncertain at this time. On March 6, 2021, the Commission authorized a contract with Evergreen Solutions to perform a wage and pay plan classification study for all county employees due by June 30th, 2021. Changes in compensation and phased implementation of this plan will be considered by the board during the budget process. Just need board action to authorize sending the budget request letters as drafted or with any changes / additional instructions from you all.
Pleasure of the board.
So move with a question.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Bolt to approve,
Second.
second by Commissioner Ward. Sir, your question?
Thank you. As we're planning the budget process, is it possible to have certain identified items put into the budget as money neutral? As we're looking, let's say, at the landfill, and we need more land, and we want to begin planning for that. Is there such thing as a budget line item that's money neutral for planning purposes and remembering purposes?
Are you talking about perhaps like a capital improvement plan or some sort of, I mean, we don't have anything that would be revenue neutral. That
Yeah,
would,
I know what you're saying. I guess I'm trying to say we need to be thinking about so much things in the future. And I just begin to see the budget process as our beginning reminder, momentum process.
yeah.
How do we begin triggering the budget to begin obligating us to think about these money things?
Well, one thing that you all did recently was by increasing your building department fees. So that's something where, that was really positive in the past year. The building department's actually completely self-sufficient now. And actually, we even have, a slight surplus that we do have to deal with. And by statute, we're only allowed to roll that forward 5 years. So for the building department, that was a good change that this board did. And as far as some of our other funds, we can always look at, increasing our tipping fee rates, different things of that nature. But for the most part, the county's doing pretty good.
Okay.
made that change.
Well, see, I can answer that for you. That's when we go to work. It's our job, if we tell them that, it's our job to tell them when they say they got to go up. No. That's what we do.
Well, I understand, but one was directed today to buy 2 new trailers and put it in your budget,
Yeah, but
as we talking about the sheriff's department.
that's what you got to.
How can we do that and then ask every other constitutional and our own county officers, supervisors, you know, solid waste, buster, and all the rest of them, stay where you at?
We ain't tell them to do it. So we tell them no.
I understand, Mr. Locke, but I'm trying to make a point where everybody else understands.
Yeah.
And really and truly, if you're gonna raise the budget here, there should be an offset somewhere so that you're not putting all this burden on the taxpayers. I mean, I'm just speaking in general terms.
Yes.
But we are, Commissioner, fixing to, in other words, we can address and tell her to change the letter if we want to, but if we vote to keep it that way, then I'm with Commissioner Lockley. It's up to us to say, this is the way we said it's gonna be. I mean, you know.
I'm just trying to get a feel
Yeah,
because
I understand.
went through a budget process like I feel like we're gonna go through this.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep, you're probably right.
Because I don't know what COVID's gonna do, and that's all in here too. We don't know what the revenue sharing's gonna be. We don't know what's gonna be up, what's gonna be down. Gas taxes up, gas taxes down. I mean, I don't know.
Well,
But I know if we send this out to everybody, and I don't feel like you should treat one constitution different than the other.
you're right. I'm with you with that, but you know,
Yep.
they can ask for what they want. But
And we can grant it if we cut something else
yeah, we told them,
and have a budget neutral. You understand what I'm saying? If you're gonna increase here, you gotta cut somewhere or else you increase the taxes.
we told them to hold it like it is, and they ask for the sky, and they don't get it. I mean, when they come in here, I'm just gonna look at them and say, that ain't what we told you.
Mr. Chairman,
Simple as that.
Yes, sir.
we can use our county budget officer as the gatekeeper. If their proposal is not neutral or the same, she does not accept it until it passes this protocol that we're passing.
Mr. Chairman,
Sounds good.
I was researching the Triumph grant the other day, pending everything we have on our agenda, and I don't know if people realize this, but you can use Triumph grants to help with ad valorem. So say we do have an increase slightly in the budget because of COVID or because of increased fuel prices for our road crew and our sheriff's office, we can maybe utilize some Triumph grant funds to help with the ad valorem aspect of it.
That I didn't know.
Yes.
But if I may, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
so, you know, Commissioner Parrish is talking, and I'm not, please, I'm not picking on the sheriff in any way. I'm being honest, we had a conversation a while back because, you know, the sheriff manages the jail for the county. That's really not sheriff's department. So he was talking to me about some issues that they're having out there, you know, they have equipment that's still there from the day when they built the jail. So I said, Sheriff, like what we've done in the past, you turn in your budget the same level, but you create what you're talking about, a capital plan, you know, that say, okay, you know, the stove that we cook with, it's 50 years old, so we're gonna need to replace that. The life of that is over. You tell us that, and then let the board, as you look at the budget, decide, well, you're gonna fund this repair this year, and then next year you're gonna fund another repair, so that we can plan for it, Commissioner Bowles, is what you're talking about. But, and going back to what Commissioner Parrish said, Commissioner Bowles, this morning, you did tell the sheriff, well, included in your budget, so we've gotta be careful what we say, so we're not sending out conflicting messages to our department heads and constitutional officers. Say, don't say add it in your budget, say make a note on your budget that you need something to the effect, because what you're saying that works vice versa, don't tell them to hold it, and then Fonda or Buster comes halfway through next year and says, well, my truck broke down. And you guys say, well, why didn't you tell us at budget time you needed a new truck? Because this board told them not to. You see, so there has to be a give and take on both ends now, Commissioner. So you have to tell them hold their budget to the level But if they think they're gonna need something, make a note of some sort to Aaron saying, hey, this truck is it's on this last leg here, you know, so that we discuss that at our budget workshops. That's what the workshops are for, to have these frank conversations with your constitutional officers, with your department heads. You know, we know what your budget, what do you think you're gonna need? Because you could end up costing yourself more money by not planning for it. That's the message I want to get to the board.
So, I don't know if you remember this or not, but we had a list like that, a short list like that
For
from
the
the
sheriff.
sheriff.
Yes,
Didn't we do all those
it
things
worked
already?
out well, and that's what I told the
It was
sheriff. I
about
said,
3 years ago, actually.
Yes, and it worked out
really well.
really
Yeah.
well,
Okay,
Commissioner,
so-
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman.
Just have to privatize.
Yeah, so why don't we, things are different now than they've been before. We have you in a different position. Why don't we ask these different department heads to come up with their plans for what they need for their departments?
3 years, 5 years, what they think they're
Something.
gonna need, yes.
So we can have and know that, yeah, this truck's going fine today, but
Yeah.
we've had it this amount of time and it might not be doing fine 6 months from now.
I mean, Commissioners, you guys
That's an
are
excellent
paying
idea.
Evergreen
Yeah.
to do that same
Yeah.
exact thing as it relates to the wages that we have to comply with for $15 an hour.
Right.
Do it for your equipment, do it for
So-
everything that you might need.
So maybe they have time
Commissioners.
between now and budget time to do that list, but if not this year, for sure by next year, we should have that kind of list from our department heads.
Yes.
That's right. That's forecasting is what it
And
is. That's right.
constitutionals or whoever.
Forecast,
Yep.
exactly.
I
Yeah.
always
And
ask
planning.
doing
Mhm.
budget.
Yeah.
I always ask, when they come in here, hide your equipment,
Yeah,
Yes.
or hide, you know.
Yeah.
I ask them questions,
Yeah.
right.
and then, you know, we be done told them, if we be done told them,
Hold the line.
hold the line, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
we ask before,
yeah,
that way we can make a change.
yeah, yes. I think the issue we run into sometimes, Commissioner, is if they know they're trying to hold a line, they might not be prepared when we, even that we're doing the right thing and asking, they're not prepared to answer that question though, you know what I mean? Because they've
So,
not made a 3 or 5 year plan of these are all the things that
And they may,
we need to address.
Mr. Chairman, they might not all get addressed in 1 year.
Right, exactly,
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
they have to address this department this
Right.
year and address
Yes.
that, you know, I mean, all this stuff can't be done at one time.
No,
but it
But
gives,
if you don't know about it, then you can't plan for it.
that's right,
right.
Commissioner, it gives
That's
you
right.
that information you need to plan 3 years out
But if
yourself
you're
for
gonna
your
tell everybody to
budget.
hold the line, then I want everybody to hold the line. Now, if they got a
Yes.
special thing that they gotta have, or they say they're gonna, I don't need it this year, but next year I'm gonna need X.
Right.
Well, that's good, we can plan on that.
There you go.
next year.
I mean, they
Letting
know
you know
they,
ahead of time is a good thing, I'm not saying that, I'm just saying, we have to be careful when you tell different constitutional, put this in your budget, and then tell everybody else, hold what's that, now that ain't fair, that ain't equitable.
well, they know,
And we're all duly elected, so I mean,
yes.
so I wanna treat everybody fair, you know?
Mhm.
well, they know when they need a bulldozer. And they can say, well, the bulldozer, I've been having so many years. They know when they go spending so much money on it, it's time to get rid of it. You come out better getting rid of it.
And then we try
And
to
there's
find a way to fund it.
Right.
Right.
But they need to tell us, prepare us for that.
God bless you,
Like-
sir.
Just like the sheriff department, he know he can't run them cars forever,
It's true.
That's right.
so he gonna have to change them. Or they put some miles on them.
Same way with the hospital and ambulance. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
hospital, ambulance, and everything.
So let me ask you a question, because I honestly don't remember. We've talked so much about everything today. Jessica, have we had a motion and second but not voted? Okay. Then why don't we do this, since we haven't voted on it yet, on the letter that's going out? Why don't we consider amending the motion to include you adding into their letter that they need to come up with a 3 to 5 year work
Okay.
plan
Okay.
to submit, knowing that the board might not can address it this year, but so we'll know what's coming, so we can address it, and that's why we're asking them to toe the line, because we know what their issues are coming.
Okay.
Would that be capital expenditure?
Yes, yes.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. Got capital improvement
So
plan.
who made the original
I
motion?
made the motion, I'll
Okay.
amend my motion, and I think, did you second?
I'll second
Yeah,
it.
okay, do you
And-
amend your second?
Yes, and just to
Okay.
add
Go
that
ahead.
they need to anticipate the the shelf life of their equipment and so on.
Right.
So we're doing forecasting deterioration issues.
Well, even if it comes down to making a payment, sometimes it's cheaper to make a payment
Yep.
than it is to continue to work on something every week. Those aren't cheap.
And actually, Parks and Recreation, as far as the facilities, you know, like the fence replacements,
Yep.
this and that, you know,
Same
that would be
stuff,
very
yes.
helpful for the board as
Yes.
well.
Yes,
That
same stuff.
fencing wasn't cheap. The
Nope.
quote they gave him was not cheap at all.
Okay, so
Good, I like that.
any more discussion before we vote on this issue?
Ain't nothing gonna be cheap. I mean, if
Ever.
you wait another year, it's gonna go up higher and higher.
That's right. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Okay, on to item number 4. It's a trade-in authorization for the 2002 Caterpillar 963C. The 2021 Caterpillar 963 track loader that was ordered for the Franklin County landfill in October was delivered in late March. At this meeting, Franklin County is processing the payment for the new loader from the tipping fee fund. The old 2002 Caterpillar 963, which was in need of repair, was traded in with a residual value of $20,000 towards the new purchase. Ring Power will need the attached bill of sale signed by the chairman to credit Franklin County for the trade. Board action to authorize the chairman's signature on the attached bill of sale and authorization to remove the 2002 Caterpillar track loader county tag A00410 from inventory.
So moved.
Second with a discussion.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Parrish, second by Commissioner Lockley. Go ahead, Commissioner Lockley.
Well, see, that's why it ain't good to, like, we bought that thing with tipping fee. That's why it ain't good to get with your tipping fee.
Yep.
Because you're gonna need them. They pay for a big item. Them tractors, they don't cost little money. They mega bucks.
They are. Yeah.
They big bucks. How much you got the price of that?
That one was, I believe it was about $370,000 for the new one. However, we did use the old one for about 18, 19 years. So
Yeah, I know.
that's a.
You still get $20,000.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a new one cost.
Practically scrap value, probably, but.
So that goes back to the tipping fee conversation we had this morning and how we partner with other, and we're not just a money bags issue. Yeah.
Okay, any more discussion before we vote?
Yeah, we need to keep that tipping fee to buy them $300,000 toys. They ain't no toys. That's a lot of money for, we need it.
It is a considerable amount of money, Commissioner Lockley. It is a considerable amount of money.
It is.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous, Jessica.
Okay, item number 5 is it's a disposal request from the clerks for obsolete office equipment. Franklin County Clerk's Office has submitted the attached request to remove the following fixed assets from inventory: a Savin mapping machine, county tag A004382, and roll feeder, county tag A004246, both from 2003, and a Minolta copier, county tag A004168 from 2002. These items were in disrepair and functionally obsolete. The items will be discarded at the Franklin County landfill upon authorization, and we just need board action to authorize the removal from inventory and disposal of the 3 items noted above.
So moved.
We have a motion by Commissioner Parrish,
Second.
second by all 3 of you, I think.
And tipping fees waived.
There you go. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Okay, item number 6, board action, Sheriff's Department E911 grants. I was supposed to hear from Renee Brandon yesterday, and she did not make it in, so that will be deferred until the next meeting. However, I do have a late edition that just came through yesterday, and it's going to be board action for the Scott Timber Island Road project. And the surveying, design, and permitting work is now complete on the Scott Timber Island Road project, and the county is ready to proceed with advertising for the construction and CEI for the project. The project will widen and resurface all of Timber Island Road from US Highway 98 to the Carabel River and is funded entirely by a grant awarded through the Florida Department of Transportation SCOT program. So we just need board action to authorize advertising for construction and CEI for the Scott Timber Island Road project.
So move.
We have a motion by Commissioner Ward, second by Commissioner Lockley. Michael Morone,
Yes, sir.
I don't know that we do, but is there any public on the line that you think might want to comment since this wasn't on our agenda?
Anybody that's on the line, if you have a comment, please, you hit the raise hand feature on your smart device. There's one caller on the phone. And you, if you'd like to comment on this, since it's a late ad, if you press *9, that'll raise your hand, and *6 to unmute. Anyone would like to comment? Once, twice, 3 times, no comment, sir.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passes unanimously.
Okay, and I just have some informational items for you. The East Point Fishing Pier Hurricane Michael washout repair. For information, the bid solicitation is attached to this report. The bid solicitation is currently posted to the county website and the governmental bid platform Demand Star, and advertised in newspapers, the Apalachicola Times and the Panama City News Herald. Bids are due by 4:00 p.m. on Friday, May 28th, and will be opened on Tuesday, June 1st. The repairs include grading the embankment, patching the damaged asphalt parking area, the installation of articulated concrete block, removing and replacing the damaged guardrail, ADA wooden boardwalk, and rubble. That's just for informational purposes only. And then also another late addition yesterday, we are working to schedule the employee orientation sessions next week for the pay and classification plan. So that's going to occur most likely Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and I will send you all a schedule in case any of you would like to attend one of the orientation sessions.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Thank you. And anyone have any questions?
The orientation sessions for Evergreen.
The
For
pay
The
plan?
people doing the pay
Yeah.
plan.
Yeah,
If you'd like
I
to
want
attend
a
one.
couple.
And that's for the employees, you say?
It is, yeah. Yep. There's going to be, in the mornings, there'll actually be a session which is kind of like for multiple employees of different groups, and then they'll break out into smaller work groups in the afternoon, so.
Okay.
We gonna get a copy of it?
You will, yep.
I ain't got to.
Commissioner, you could attend and tell them I kept you here until probably 3:30 and say you want to raise and you send that to the state. How about that?
I'm gonna act think for a reason.
Good luck. Okay, anyone else have something for Ms. Aaron before we move on to Mr. Morone? Aaron, thank you.
Thanks, Aaron.
Michael, you're up, sir.
Commissioners, we're on page 9, item number 2, and if you notice, I have a map of that I'm going to refer to here in this item. While reviewing the property for the Jingoli Power Storage and Laydown Yard, a possible Scrivener's error was discovered. I asked Mr. Currington to research this possible error, and his statement attached to my report is as follows. The northeast corner of the Apalachicola Airport, where the Franklin County Road Department yard is located, is currently zoned R4, single-family home industry, as shown on the attached map of the copy of the zoning map, which was originally drawn in 1990. This map was copied from a smaller scale map at the time. The map on the following page, scroll up here, from Franklin County Property Appraiser's website shows the different lots in the area along with the location of the R4 zoning in the southwest side of Bluff Road. The area highlighted in red is the private residential property located on the southwest side of Bluff Road. In Mark's opinion, the R4 zone area should only encompass this private residential property. The remainder of the property belonging to Franklin County on the southwest side of Bluff Road should be zoned I-1, Industrial 1, like the rest of the Apalachicola Airport. End of quote. Based on Mr. Currington's information and opinion, will the board consider declaring this a Scrivener's error and direct Mr. Currington to correct the zoning? Board action to decide if this is a Scrivener's error. So basically what happened when they copied the map in 1990, they made the triangle a lot bigger than it was supposed to be. So if you notice in red, it's a smaller triangle. Well, they took that whole area, but the airport property should not be R4, Commissioner. There should be Industrial 1.
Mike, this also includes the property that we talked about this morning with.
A very small, to the far corner that they're going to clear. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Some of the area that they talked about this morning
Right.
is on this map. Yes.
Well, we need to straighten out in the street.
Yes.
So it would be changing the entirety of the area inside the yellow dotted line to be I-1.
I-1, except for that little red area, which is already R4.
Okay.
I'll make that motion.
All right. Motion by Commissioner Parrish, second by Commissioner Lockley. Any
Comment.
discussion? Yes, sir, go ahead.
I see a runway there. In changing this zoning, is that going to in any way interfere with the arrival and departures or any kind of aircraft in that area?
Quite opposite, Commissioner. What it'll do, it'll make that property in the dotted line triangle, yellow triangle, it'll make it the same as what the rest of the airport property is. I-1.
I heard that, but I just want to
Yeah.
make sure. Okay, thank you.
So it's even keel with all the airport properties, what you're trying to do here.
Okay.
Because the air actually had all of that yellow dotted line area was R4. correct?
R4, yeah, and the
So you're
airport,
shrinking the R4.
Okay.
It's within the airport fence, so it needs to be
Yes.
straightened out.
yes.
Okay.
So we're good, Commissioner Bolt?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passes unanimously.
Okay, let me stop screen share so I'm not distracted. Okay, let's go back. Move on to the next item. Commissioners, which is item 3. A couple weeks ago, Gulf County sent a request to inquire if Franklin County would be interested in partnering and participating in funding a dry dock and ship repair facility that will be located in St. Joe Port. I suggested that Mr. Jim McKnight, he's the director of Gulf County's Economic Development Coalition, meet with each commissioner to discuss this proposal in detail. Mr. McKnight informed me that he did contact each commissioner and asked to be added to today's agenda to discuss this with the entire board. I explained to Mr. McKnight that because the request included a $5 million commitment of Franklin County's Triumph allocation to the project, I thought it was important for this board to discuss it today to voice any concerns or additional questions you may have about the project to each other before Gulf County representatives appear before you to seek a commitment. Mr. McKnight was concerned that even though their request to this board was last minute, any delay on our end may affect the timeline or the deadline for the project. So in the request, he's also asking for the board to consider a workshop as soon as possible to discuss this matter with Gulf County. So I basically am asking for, of course, you guys are going to discuss it, and I need some directions to respond to Mr. McKnight from this board.
So I will say this, Commissioners, I took it upon myself as your chairman to call our closest member of the Triumph Board, which is Matt Terry and lives over in Gulf County, and I was asking him about the possibility of us partnering with another county. They get part of our Triumph funds and how all that works. This is exactly what he told me, and he said, I don't mind if you share it with the board. He said, yes, there's a certain amount of money set aside that was fought for each county. But if you guys have a good project, you're not hindered by that amount of money. As Commissioner Parrish mentioned this morning, when they Triumph funded the exit and on the 4-lane interstate in a county to the west of us, they got way more than what their Triumph allotment should be, because the Triumph Board liked what the project was going to do for the surrounding area. So I don't think that we necessarily, I'm fine with supporting Gulf County and their Triumph application, if that's what they want. But I don't think the Triumph Board is going to help their application for us to try to put up some of our Triumph dollars for their project and vice versa. I don't think it's going to help us at all. I think if they have a good project, it doesn't matter if they only have 20 million of Triumph available and it's a $40 million project. If the Triumph Board likes the project, they can fund it. They're not hindered. But anyway.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
in reality, we were allocated 5% the first year of this money coming in from BP and going into the Triumph Fund. The second year, we were allocated 4%. Having said that, there was more than 50% of all that money that is used at Triumph's discretion.
That's right.
Which is what you're trying to say.
Yes.
That if they like your project, it don't matter what your allocation is. There's money there that they can put into the project.
Right.
So basically, that's what this is all about. So if Triumph likes Gulf County's project, they can get all the money out of Triumph without using any allocation of ours.
That's right.
My constituency, when learning about this, said, you have no control over the project.
Right.
If you get, there's 261 jobs, I believe, that might come out of this. If we got 100 of those jobs for residents of Franklin County, that's $50,000 a job. Now, there's no guarantee that you're gonna get one job.
Right.
But if you got 100 jobs, and we give $5 million, that's $50,000 a job.
Right.
And trying to convince your constituency that you have committed $5 million with no guarantee of nothing.
Yep.
You have no say-so in the project. You have no say-so in the hiring. Can we give them a letter of support for the project? Absolutely.
Yes.
Just as we did with the dredging issue.
Mm-hmm.
Another issue that concerns me is that the Board of County Commissioners of Gulf County is supposed to be voting on a bonding issue of $23 million or $26 million. That hasn't happened yet.
Right.
That hasn't even been to the Gulf County Board, and they've not took action. So we're being asked to take action ahead of Gulf County's Board of County Commissioners.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my constituents telling me, if you're gonna spend $5 million, we want to spend it in our county
Mm-hmm.
for something that our commission controls or we have input into. And, you know, this railway, as I'm being told, has come before Triumph before, and it was so controversial that it was pulled before Triumph had a chance to deny it. The project was pulled off. So, you know, and then you got this meeting coming up on the 24th. If the legislators are successful at getting these smaller counties more leeway as to how we can utilize the money, we may need to keep all we got.
It's a game changer.
Yes, it's changing the scenario. You know, I stated earlier there was a lot of people from here that work at the paper mill. Well, there were. But there were no guarantees you were going to get a job at the paper mill.
No.
And you know, and things have changed a lot since then. A project like this could draw people from Leon County, Bay County, Calhoun County, Liberty County.
Good.
But we're the only ones that are being asked to donate money. All these other counties are not asked to be able to put nothing into the basket. So, you know, it's up to the board.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna make a motion or second on it, I can tell you.
Well, I'm fine, like you're saying, Commissioner Parrish, we're giving them a letter of support for their project. Because I think it's a valid project. I think it can add to this region. You know, but I'm the same as you. You know, we've been trying to get our channels dredged now for the last 2 or 3 years, and $5 million could cover both of them. You know, and I think it's a big ask to ask for us to, you know, we can't get nothing with ours, but we'll give it to you. I just, anyway.
It's not a good thing.
The people that I represent have an issue with that too. Let me put it that way.
So, Mr. Chairman, there's a lot of infrastructure that we can do in addition to the airport that the $5 million can go for. As I said before, there's so many things you can do with Triumph funds. You don't know. So
Right.
why would we give $5 million? I mean, I'll make a motion to send a letter of support.
Okay. So we have a motion to send a letter of support for this dry dock project that Gulf County is applying for Triumph.
And I'll
Commissioner
second with a
Ward.
comment.
All right, we have a second by Commissioner Bolt. What's your comment, sir?
That if we give up that $5 million and give it to Gulf County, we've lost our placeholder position with Triumph.
Just.
Gone.
Yep.
Letter of support's benign. Do that.
Any more discussion before we vote? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That passes unanimously.
Commissioners, item 4, if I may move on. Robertson Roberts is in the county working on a state-funded paving project due to Leslie Street's closure between Highway 98 and Market Street, and 4th Street closure between the main courthouse and its annex building. Chairman Jones suggested that I contact the city of Apalachicola about temporarily opening the eastern end of Leslie Street, that's between Market Street and Water Street, as a two-way for access to the courthouse. The city agreed to the request, so I then contacted Robertson Roberts for a quote to restripe Leslie Street as a two-way instead of a one-way with on-street parking, when their striping crew is in the county for the state project, with the expectation that the county would save on mobilization costs. Robertson Roberts submitted a $2,500 quote for this project. I recommended that since this is for courthouse access, the cost of this project is divided equally between all 5 commissioners from your paving fund, basically $500 apiece. With that same thought process, some of you have requested quotes on small projects in your district. Chairman Jones requested asphalt and striping on portions of 5th, 6th, and 7th Street on St. George Island for a total of $63,180, which will be paid from District 1's paving funds. Commissioner Lockley asked for asphalt overlay and striping on what is the eastern end of MLK, Martin Luther King Street, also known as Avenue J, and also known as the street to the fish cleaning table. That's the best reference I had for that, from Water Street. Commissioner Lockley also requested a quote for an asphalt overlay for the Chapman Building parking lot. It will start from where the city's ended at the library and go all the way over to the fence. The total cost of both projects is $46,530 and will be paid from District 3's paving fund. Commissioner Parrish requested repairs, an asphalt overlay and striping on Bluff Road, along with grading and an asphalt overlay at the Buddy Ward Park Museum parking lot. Should have put parking lot in there. The total cost for both projects is $83,070, which will be paid from District 4's paving fund. Board action to approve these change orders to the county's paving project. The original paving project is still open, so there'll be a change order to that, and authorize Robertson Roberts to do the 4 projects as stated above. The first, $2,500, paid from all 5 districts' paving funds. The second, for $63,180, paid from District 1's paving funds. The third, for $46,530, paid from District 3's paving fund. And the fourth, for $83,070, paid from District 4's paving fund.
So move with a discussion.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Lockley,
Second with comment.
second by Commissioner Ward. Commissioner Lockley, your comment?
Yes, Michael.
Sir?
If you will, contact
Robertson,
Robertson, and on that street down there, make sure they pave where you can turn around, have a roundabout.
By the table itself, or?
Yeah, up by the table.
Yeah, okay.
I want the boat to be able to get in there without going on the ground and
Okay.
come out. And if it,
In other words, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
those trucks that'll be pulling in, they'll be pulling a boat and a trailer.
Yeah,
right,
And some of them are pretty big boats, so it needs to be a kind of
a roundabout, like a
a,
roundabout.
just
Okay.
can't be just turned, you got to make it where it
right, so
comes
they can
out
get
like
in
that.
and out. And if it's any more,
I'll just let you know the next
let me
meeting.
know at next meeting. If it's the same, if they put it in, good, if they didn't, just add
Okay.
it to it.
Commissioner Ward?
If it's okay with the rest of the board,
Okay.
No
Yeah, that's
problem,
fine.
sir.
but it's fine with me.
Okay.
I'm just want to make a note that I'll be giving you some areas of my district as well that I'd like striping on some roads in my district. So
Okay.
I'll get those to you as soon as possible.
Yep. So as soon as they can do Leslie Street, they'll just come right up. Yep. Okay.
And before we vote, I also want to to reiterate. So, Michael, I had talked to you about this over the weekend when I first saw your report, and I didn't want to delay it because there's a lot of work, a lot of good things going on. So when I had first talked to him at Roberts, I guess misunderstood the process. I'm still new enough at the road paving part of it. Because when I started as a commissioner, there was $3,000 in my district's paving funds. That was it.
3,000.
So it took my first 4 years to actually build up to have any money. So let's start there. But I was under the understanding that when they come and ask me, if I had some roads I want to get a quote on, I was waiting for them to talk back to me to see what that quote was, to maybe try to do more roads, because we have stuff in East Point that needs addressing too. So just know I'm fine with voting for this today, but since I know that figure, and I know that I'm getting reimbursement for Hurricane Sally, what we spent on North Bay Shore,
Yes.
I have some stuff on doing East Point as well, so that'll probably be coming up at the next meeting
also?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll just I can just add my stuff to Chairman Jones's stuff at the next meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll just do that. That way give me time to go and look at everything.
Yeah. They'll just send what they do, they send quotes per district,
Right.
basically, is what they do. So
Right.
yes, that'll be fine.
I may add some too, Mike.
Okay.
Might as well.
Get it done.
They're here.
Get it done there.
You all an updated balance.
There you go. Yeah, we might need that, Aaron.
Well, I mean, you don't want to spend it all on mobilization, so while they're
Yeah.
here,
Yes. Take
Yeah.
advantage.
now's
Yes.
the time to get it
Take
done.
advantage.
That's right.
Yeah.
Mobilization is expensive.
We have some striping at Alligator Point, but we're going to wait until all the construction is done, so we don't erase it off the ground.
That's right.
Okay.
Okay. So, any more discussion before we vote?
to be
Oh.
continued?
No, we're voting to do this today, and then we're going to do more later. That's what it sounds like. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That's unanimous, Jessica.
Thank you. And before I move on to item 5, commissioners got an email that there's going to be a pre-construction meeting coming up from FDOT for the US 98 paving from Tilton Road to 12th Street. So that project is getting closer and
Yeah,
closer.
when is that?
They haven't confirmed the pre-construction date yet, so that should be coming up within the next week or two.
I like to see
And
things
you would
move
be
along.
attending that, Aaron?
No, that's probably me. I'll probably
You probably
sit- yes.
attend?
I'm just taking notes.
I thought her and Mark was doing the DOT stuff.
Yeah, but I don't think we have that active of a role since it's a FDOT project.
And with being FDOT, we don't necessarily, we're not actually.
So I'm just there taking notes, Commissioner, to reply to inform you guys.
So it don't give you a date or anything? Well,
Not yet.
I'd like to know, because
I will.
I've been telling you for the last couple of months, that should be done this year.
Yeah. I'll let you know as soon as I'll actually forward you the email for the pre-construction.
Probably time we get through with C30 down there and get those 2 washouts fixed and all, that'll be paid from the Y to 13 mile.
Yes,
So that whole C30 will be redone, Gulf County side and the Franklin County side.
good, good.
And all these projects will come together where
Okay.
Yep.
Yes, and we should have the bid specifications ready to go out on the C30 washouts probably by the end of the week, so.
that'll be addressed at the next board meeting?
Actually, you guys have.
Or you just go on out
You
and
have
bid?
to go on out the bid,
Okay.
we've already received authorizations.
Okay, maybe it all come together then.
Maybe
Yes,
so.
sir. Love it when a plan comes together. All right, item 5, career source, and Kim is on the line if we have questions. She's been in the line from this morning. Hopefully we won't. Career source Gulf Coast is requesting board action to approve and authorize the chairman's signature on the new grantee-sub-grantee agreement, which begins on May 15th and may continue for 3 years through May 15th of 2024. The final sub-grantee agreement serves as a contract between Career Source Gulf Coast Board and DEO and outlines each party's roles and responsibilities. Attorney Schuler has not had the opportunity to review this agreement as yet, so board action to approve, authorize the chairman's signature on the new agreement contingent on Attorney Schuler's review. It's basically the same agreement. There might be a change here or there, but I'm sure we'll know.
So move.
Hey, Kim.
Have a motion to approve by Commissioner Ward,
Second.
second by Commissioner Parrish. Any more discussion before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passes unanimously.
Kim, don't count this as wasted time. It's quality time you spend with the Board of County
Hold on.
Commissioners.
No,
out there.
she's still on the phone. I got a question for her.
Oh, good. See?
If that's okay. So I didn't bring it up earlier, Kim, because I didn't want to pretend to speak for anybody. But knowing that the actual construction of this Franklin 98 shoreline project is getting closer, and knowing that a lot of people that I know that were actively involved in the seafood industry are actually employed on different jobs through Career Source, there might be a connection need to be made with the group that's overseeing that project. I know they're using Conservation Corps and some other stuff, but I personally know that there are people that used to work on the seafood industry that I grew up around that's now hired through Career Source. So I think that might be a valid thing for a Career Source opportunity for jobs to be had for people you are trying to find jobs for.
Yes, Commissioner, I was listening to that conversation as well, and I will reach out to them and see if we can, as they have positions, if they'll post them with us, because we do have a lot of people now that we have contact with that we can keep informed about job opportunities.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Ms. Kim.
Mm-hmm. Are we still on the 4th or is it the 5th today?
We don't know yet.
We don't know which way is up.
Thank you for your support. I appreciate it.
We're turning this day into a mini legislative session. That's what we're doing. Thank you, Ms. Kim.
Thanks again.
All right, so we are, let's see, where are
Is there
we?
any more discussion, Michael, before you go by?
I'm sorry.
About the Triumph meeting? I think we discussed that enough. I just want to ask.
Oh, that's right, too. Item 6, yeah. So right now, we're looking at broadband infrastructure, the Armory full renovation project that we had, which goes way beyond the sprinkler system. There was, I think, I'm gonna say, or an email, everybody calm down, there was a plan to go outside with a pavilion and a whole thing. So there's a full plan. I'll ask Mark to look for, send it to you guys and see if that's what you want me to basically talk to them about. And then, Weems, and building, new ED, maybe some, new patient rooms and outpatient clinic, some outpatient clinics. That's what I have on my list. Mr. Coleman is going to work on giving me a full scope that I could turn over to them, so some for them to look at.
Well, I don't know what Triumph would be amenable to, but if they're wanting to try to find a way for us to be able to utilize the money, again, it's at their discretion. They could tell us pretty quick. Could we look at taking a section of that money, 5 million, 8 million, whatever, putting in a trust fund to keep the channels dredged in East Point and Appalach after we get past this dredging project?
Like maintenance?
Yes, for maintenance dredging.
And maybe somebody else besides the Army Corps, so we can get it done
There you go.
at a time, on a more timely manner.
Yep, yep. Go ahead, Commissioner
We
Parrish.
have 3 new board members coming to Triumph.
Okay,
That's gonna be on the heels of this
Okay.
May 24th meeting.
okay,
So, I'm not sure about the dynamics of
Right.
where Triumph boards should be going.
right.
Dr. Dana's going, Alan Bence is going,
Mm-hmm.
and one more board member's going, so there'll be new board members coming on. Having said that, the chairman of Triumph rules that board with an iron fist,
Mm-hmm.
and it's all because of these bigger counties to the west, and they all vote for him to get what they need for their bigger counties.
Mhm.
The little counties are left off.
Right,
So I'm trying to talk to those, or if somebody's watching, they won't see what I'm saying, but anyway.
right.
This is dynamics of the county, so we don't really know where it's gonna go after this meeting of these
Yeah.
senators and our legislative delegation and the new board members coming
Mm-hmm.
on. As Commissioner Barnes was talking earlier about, you can offset losses. And a lot of those losses were done during Hurricane Michael. We didn't show a lot of losses. Our gas tax wasn't down. I mean, we didn't have that much damage, so we weren't showing a lot of abnormal tax loss, so therefore we didn't get anything out of that. We could have if we'd lost, a bunch of money.
Mm-hmm.
Bay County, Gulf County, and some of the others did. Well, mainly Bay County, because Mexico Beach is in Gulf County,
Right.
further to the west, all the way to Panama City Beach. So they got a huge chunk from Triumph to offset the losses of the revenues, but we've never had that. We ain't been able to show that. The same way with BP oil spill. We had BP oil spill. There was an ability there to get some money back, but when BP come to town, we started renting places and buying gas, so we didn't have no reduction in revenue.
There you go.
We didn't lose any revenue dollars, so then we couldn't go back and recoup none of that, as you remember, Aaron. So there is stuff that you can do, but until we get the revenue sharing and all that, and then us being a smaller county, are they gonna actually let us access that money for that particular reason? Because we're not carrying that many votes here, so.
Oh, yeah.
We've always been stepped on about being a rural community, but I love it, and that's where I'm gonna stay. Whether they step on me or not, I ain't going nowhere.
There you go. Well, Commissioner, I just want to throw enough ideas out there that surely they're going to pick one of them and say.
That's what I was gonna say about my thing about projects that could go forward to Triumph. We got 2 weeks that the commissioners may think up something else that we
Yeah.
want to put on that list.
That's right.
So the list is not finalized.
Right.
But we do need to finalize it at the next meeting.
Yes.
That's right.
Because before we have another one, he'll be went to 24th,
Yeah.
our next meeting's on.
Yeah, we meet on the
18th.
Tuesday, and then that meeting's the following Monday, yes.
Yeah.
And we won't meet again till the following month.
So
yes.
That's right.
If the commissioners come up with different ideas that we want to submit for possible funding, then we can do that also, right?
Yep.
Yes,
Yep.
keep adding to the
Well,
list.
We've got a little start going.
Yep.
Yep.
We got a little
That's right.
start on it, and we got 2 weeks to think about it.
That's right.
Anybody that comes up with anything, just call Michael and tell him, hey, here's a good idea, and then we'll all talk about it at the next board meeting and push the list forward.
There you go. All right, Mr. Morone.
Good?
Yeah, we're good.
All right, attached to my last, it's not really an action item, but yes, I have to put it on the action list. Attached to my report as part of the county's recertification process is your community rating systems progress report prepared by Ms. Angela Lally, your floodplain administrator. As part of CRS, county homeowners are able to save on their premiums as part of the National Flood Insurance Program. Copies of the report are available for the public and must be submitted to the board at a public meeting and made part of the official records. The county's local mitigation strategy is submitted as part of the report, along with information from the Emergency Management Office. The recertification submission deadline is Monday, May 10th. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to contact Mrs. Lawley. And the ethics class, basically I've scheduled it for Saturday, May 15th at 9 a.m. This class, let me read this because I want to make sure it's on the record. So this class will certify you for 2020 because commissioners, remember, because of COVID and scheduling and different things, we didn't do an ethics class for 2020. So this class is for 2020. Later in the year, we'll do another one for 2021. Okay, I really need you guys to have your certificates for both years in your files because I know there are places and boxes you got to check when you file financial forms saying that you did have your ethics classes. Okay, we're good. I'll remind you about that right before that Saturday. And I think we already did 2 and 3, and 4 is about the LSE. Oh, one more thing before he kills me, because God, he'll text me to death. So tomorrow, the chamber is starting back their business luncheons. It's at Buddy Ward Park. So Mr. John Solomon would like to invite all the commissioners there, and you too, Attorney Schuler, I did say attorney, to the first business luncheon tomorrow at Buddy Ward Park.
What do we have, barbecue?
You gonna feed us?
Yes, Commissioner, he's gonna feed you. Now,
John's
gonna do it.
well, I'm gonna say, now, Commissioner Parrish, that's a little insulting. He might take that, if you're asking him, he's gonna be there cooking if it's gonna be barbecue. I mean, yeah.
So I think Duke Energy is actually helping out with that as well.
Good.
Who is?
Duke Energy.
Okay.
I think they actually paid for the lunch.
At this rate, you might get a cheese sandwich, sir, since you kind of, you know.
Might get 2 instead of 1.
Yeah, maybe so.
What time is that going to be?
It's at noon.
12, about 12, Commissioner. 12 is a safe time.
Noon at Buddy Ward.
Yes.
Where that's at?
Oh, here we go.
Now, he could put a possum on the grill now.
Yeah.
Okay. Commissioners, that ends my report.
Okay.
So I kept you here long enough.
Mike, Mr.
Go
Chairman,
ahead. Yes, sir.
on number 4, how do you see this local state of emergency stuff going with what's just been passed?
Well, that's what I'm working on right now. I have to
Can't
have
be
a,
extended past 45 days, and we're way over 45 days. Is this part of it?
I don't know. So I talked to, actually, Sarah.
I know we can't
Hines.
mandate masks and all.
Yes.
But what about steps in this local state of emergency?
I asked
and
Pam
keeping it
yesterday. She was
going?
in the office when I saw it on the news, that what the governor did, and she, at first, her first reaction was, no, we don't have to do these local state of emergencies anymore. It's over. But then, I don't know, I read some more last night, so I'm going to have to check on that. So I was going to have a friendly conversation with our county attorney tomorrow. I'm going to I already sent him the 2 executive orders, because I need to know a few things. One, can we mandate masks for people that didn't get both vaccinations in the room starting next meeting? I don't know where we are, to be very honest.
You can't mandate nothing.
Yeah, that's what I
You
think.
can't mandate no mask.
But
They preempted local government with that.
yes, but I will have our fine attorney do his
Now, they can
research.
wear masks, but we can't make them wear masks.
Yes. So
Yes. And also, there are other preemptions in that same ruling.
Yeah.
Going forward, any municipality will be preempted by their local county. And the county can be preempted by the state.
that's what I'm talking about.
Yes, sir. That's all part of it.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah. So there's a lot to parse out with that.
The attorney's laughing at me. I guess I shouldn't be excited about stuff like that too. I'm not even sure, Commissioners, if we could actually use the restricted seating anymore. I don't know. I'm going to ask the attorney to check all that for me tomorrow when he reviews the 2 executive orders. Because the seating was based on the court's system. Now, the court can do what they want, but we don't have those kind of stripes on our
It'll be interesting to see
shoulders.
if the court can tell the governor what to do there.
See, it hasn't changed for the court, but we might not be able to enforce the same seating restrictions in here anymore.
That governor said he cutting out all of it.
Yeah.
What he say?
So
I
we'll
don't know, Mike, we in a courtroom.
Yes.
We gotta abide by the court rule. Way I see that.
So Attorney Schulite did not sleep in a Holiday Inn Express last night, so I'm not that smart, so I don't know.
All
I'll
that
leave it up
legal
to you.
issue
I
leads
tried
us
to read the
you,
orders
sir.
on my phone and could not, so I have no comment.
Okay, cool.
We need somebody to comment seriously. I don't want this place loaded up with people.
Well, we'll figure it out before the next meeting.
I mean, I can see a few people, when I look back and see this place packed, I get very uncomfortable.
Well, it was open today and we had, what, 1 or 2 visitors the whole day?
Yeah, and they all
Correct.
sit in
Four.
the designated area.
Right.
But if you take them, well, we can't take those off, because it's gotta be here for the court.
Yeah, we can't take them off. That's for the court. And the
So
clerk
you
just
gonna get
told
some
you.
answers for us?
Sir?
Gonna get some answers for us?
I try my best as I look down the table to somebody a little smarter than me, so
Mr.
yeah.
Attorney, you gonna get some answers for us?
I will have responses, yes.
Yes.
That'll work.
I like the word
Okay.
responses. I love to see.
All right, so you're up next, sir, Attorney Schuler, Attorney Michael Schuler. Go ahead, sir.
All right, sir. The next item on my report is from the city of Apalachicola. They want the county to enter into a lease the old National Guard Armory at 17 Chapman Drive. They've been physically using the property for decades. It's essentially their base of operations for their road department and other city services, I suppose. But there's never, to my knowledge, ever been a written agreement. I spoke with Mr. Wade. He says that they are presently carrying insurance on the premises. I have asked for but not yet received what the insurance coverage would be. I have submitted just a proposed draft for your consideration and also the consideration of the city that they insure the building for $1 million, not only for liability and fire, but also windstorm, hurricane covers, things of that nature, in lieu of paying rent. And so I was going to ask the board if y'all wanted to take that up at today's meeting, or if you just want to discuss it and maybe take action at the next meeting. I mean, this is drug on for decades, so I don't exactly see a timing problem. The city's being motivated because their insurance underwriter has said, show us the lease. Well, there is no written lease to provide at this point, so they've got some motivation in that sense, but I mean, again, they've been occupying it and insuring it apparently for years, so another 2 weeks I can't see being, fatally defective or harmful to the city.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Is that outside the airport property?
Not what I would consider outside the airport
Well, I
property.
mean, if the county can't put a building in there, cause we gotta pay the airport. If it's inside airport property. Number two, the lease should be contingent upon being able to see some insurance paper.
Oh, I agree with the last thing. The first thing that you said is that inside the airport property, if you'll recall from the last conversation about the last meeting, the relocation, the old EOC, and they had the map up on the wall, and you had the new access road, and on the right-hand side as you're facing north would be the new EOC building, and then across the street from that, there was some discussion of where to put a new tower. Well, this old armory building is directly north of that proposed tower site. So I would not be of the opinion that this property is outside of what would be considered airport property.
Is that something you need to ask the engineer, airport engineer?
I would ask them to make sure, but
Yeah.
I'm like you, though. If we're gonna enter into a lease, it needs to be at fair market value, if everything else has gotta be that way.
Well, I mean, if we put one on airport property, we gotta pay fair market value.
That's right.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll run that up the chain of command and get some information.
But
Yes, sir.
Also, I'd like the lease contingent upon the attorney receiving insurance documentation.
Yes.
They can't get insurance if they don't have a lease. It's kind of a tit for tat. You can't get a lease if you don't have if you're not going to insure a bill. You know what I'm saying? Because we're going to offset the lease fees for the insurance of the building. Then we need to know that building's insured also.
They have
How do you
represented that
think
the
we
building
do
is
that?
insured, they just have not given me a copy. I don't have any reason to think that they misrepresented that, but I also haven't received it yet. I mean, Aaron, I know their finance guy was talking to you. Has he sent any information to you?
So are we good with just board direction, or does there need to be a vote?
Sounds like we need more information
Okay.
before the board takes
All right.
action.
Sounds good.
So I'll move on.
All right.
The next item is the city of Carabel and the repair of the box culvert on Ryan Drive. I had submitted to the board a draft interlocal agreement. Mr. Hartman and I have been going back and forth via email during the meeting about some proposed additions to that agreement. I can't open his last email to me, so I have no idea what he said. I've asked him to text me that information. Okay, it just came in. Let's see what it says. Essentially, what's going to happen structurally is we've got an original cost estimate of $92,000. It's being split equally between the two between the city and the county. Their engineer is going to donate engineering services, and then based on that set of engineered plans, that will be submitted to Roberts & Roberts, who will then issue like a final estimate. And what Dan and I are essentially discussing and recommending to both of our clients is that both clients take a final look at the estimate before you're finally committed to the project. For example, if this board's thinking it's $92,000, and then based on the engineering plans that comes back and it's $150,000, well then we don't need to move forward with the interlocal. We need to come back to the board for direction. So with that change in mind, I would recommend that the board recommend the form of the interlocal and authorize the chairman's execution of it. I will get that drafted in final form for his signature and get it sent over to Mr. Hartman. Their board meeting is Thursday of this week, I believe.
So that is a motion you're looking for, correct?
Yes, sir, it is.
All right.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Ward.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Parrish. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
The next issue is an extension of the lease of the building for the supervisor of elections. That lease expired on March the 1st of 2021. Mr. Harry Arnold approached me and wanted to know about renewing the lease. He and I had some conversations. Essentially, the proposal is another 5-year lease with an additional 3 one-year automatic renewals, which is the last lease that we had. He wants to increase the lease fees from $2,000 a month to $2,500 a month. I would recommend approval for a couple of reasons, one of which is not sure where else we're going to go, and second of all, it's not that big of an increase for that property. We've been paying the same lease amount for about a decade or so now, a little less than 10 years, I think, or right at 10 years. So my recommendation is that the board renew the lease as requested by Mr. Arnold. And just to refresh the board's recollection, there was a list of items that were going to be repaired by Mr. Arnold over the course of the last few years. He's finished the majority of those repairs. The two things that I believe one thing I know he hasn't done, which was to jack up and stabilize the building, because there had been some settling on, I believe it was the northeast corner of the building, and maybe a little bit on the southwest corner of the building. That issue has never been resolved. There has been no stabilization of the building. And I also, from the times I've been there with the canvassing board, I can't say that I've noticed any material change either in the settling of the building, but you know, that's just visual observation from a non-engineer. The other issue was, I think she wanted like a keypad entry lock to the front door. I don't believe that has been done. But I think I'm safe in representing to the board. I don't think Mr. Arnold intends on jacking and stabilizing the building. So not unless there's a substantial, I guess, renegotiation of these terms. But as presented, I would recommend that the board accept the lease, $2,500 a month, 5 years, and then 3 one-year automatic renewals at that same lease amount. We're not talking about changing the rental amount during the lease term of 8 years.
Is there an escape clause in this proposed new lease?
There is. There's a 6-month termination provision by either party. In the current lease, I haven't really, I'm not sure really how to address that with the board. I think, frankly, my usual policy is I want you to have a 6-month escape clause, but that building is so vital to the constitutional office, and there's so few alternatives that having an 8-year firm lease may actually be in the county's best interest. But
Well, all I can say is, and I've not been here for the whole time that we've leased that building, but we had a list that they haven't completed, and I understand that, you know, it might be a lot of money, but we've leased this building for over a decade. They've been, Mr. Arnold, I shouldn't say they, has been collecting the money on that lease for over a decade. The things still aren't addressed, and here we're talking about upping the amount of the lease. And we're also talking about possibly not providing a termination provision. Me personally, I'm just uncomfortable with that, but that's just me. I'm 1 of 5.
Mr. Chairman, obviously, Ms. Riley, what are her, I guess I could have reached out to her, but what is her decision on this?
She and I've had a general conversation. I've not talked to her about the lease increase. I mean, she understands as I do, there's really no place else for her to land. I mean, we have nowhere else to put her. I think to that extent she likes where she is, but no, I have not gone to her and said 8 years for $2,500 a month. I figure that was really, since it's the county's lease, I would have that conversation with the board.
Well, I'd just like to point out,
she don't want to move.
you know, as being on the canvassing board this past year, I had a lot of time in that building. And they are living all over everything in that building. It is crammed full of everything, to the point that this past 6 months, I believe they had to bring in a outside warehouse that's on the back of the property now to take the overload of everything that's in that building. So it's becoming, for our purposes, with a growing county, more and more obsolete. Just a thought.
Well, obviously, the lease expired, sorry, Mr. Chairman, on March the 1st. Obviously, Mr. Arnold hasn't kicked them out yet, so perhaps maybe we can, I don't know. I mean, as Chairman Jones stated, these repairs, I guess, needed to be done, and requested to be done, and haven't been done yet. So maybe we can, and then the escape clause. I'd hate for us to sign a lease and not be able to get out of it if the building starts to shift, or some of these things aren't taken care of. That's my only concern.
Sure. And we've had a 6-month escape clause for most of the last 10 years, and no one's ever used it. I view the 6-month escape clause, frankly, as essentially a tool for both parties to be kind to one another and cooperate with one another, because it's really beneficial for both sides, us to occupy, for him to receive rent. So I mean, putting the 6-month termination in back into the lease or part of the leases, I don't think would be an issue for Mr. Long.
Pleasure of the board.
Oh, move, we ain't got nowhere else to go.
Hands are tied.
Motion by Commissioner Lockley to approve.
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Ward. Any more discussion?
Then we're gonna build a building, we ain't got nowhere to go.
Yeah, that's kind of caught, stuck.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
All right, and then the final item is the follow-up on the board's action at the last meeting. You directed me to send a letter to Liberty County saying that this board supported a land swap with Liberty County and the state. As part of that approval, you had asked Mr. Morone to receive copies of the Liberty County minutes. When I read the minutes, it made reference to Liberty County holding a workshop to talk about the land swap. And I wasn't comfortable sending a letter with that kind of a change without coming back to the board. So my recommendation is that the board make a motion directing me to send a letter of support for Liberty County to hold a workshop to discuss the land swap.
Okay. Mr. Langston, you're
Mr. Morone.
turning in your speaker card, so there you go.
I'm fixing to speak, but I believe there's a commissioner on the line, got his hand up. Commissioner Doyle Brown.
Let's see here. Doyle Brown, there he is. Mr. Chairman, is that okay to let him?
That's fine. He's
Fine.
Commissioner from Liberty.
Okay. I'm going
Is
to.
that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a county commissioner. That's fine.
Okay, he's unmuted. Hey, Mr. Commissioner Brown, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I appreciate y'all taking the time to talk about this. And we've pretty much received letters of support from most of the counties, and we would very much like to have a letter of support from Franklin County.
Can I ask him a question? I mean, Commissioner, there's some question of whether that the Liberty County Board has voted to support this operation, or are we sending, as Liberty County sending these requests out before they support it?
No, yes, we have voted to support this, this exchange of land and to open the mine. It would help us quite a bit as far as finances goes. And I think in the long run, it would be beneficial for us, even after the mine is closed in the future, which none of all of us will probably be not here by then, but it would be when the mine is completed and mined out, it would still turn into about a 100-acre lake that we think would be good for our county and the surrounding counties. And our position on it is that we support this land swap and would like to get support from our surrounding counties.
Okay.
Then I would just need those minutes, Commissioner, of where the commissioner is talking about where they actually supported. It's a copy of those minutes.
Yeah. So I guess the issue you're trying to say, Attorney Schuler and my coordinator wrong, the minutes that we received from Liberty actually said something about a workshop and not that they actually supported. Is that what you're trying to say?
Correct.
Okay.
All right. And I can read it to you. The minutes that we received said, Commissioner Brown requested Mr. Langston get support from other counties first, then schedule a workshop for further discussion. So that's the reason I slowed my process down and did not send the letter, because I was directed to send a letter supporting a land swap, but the minutes that I received said that Liberty County is just going to hold a workshop. So that was the reason I came back for further direction. If they've actually voted to
they voted.
Swap, we just need to see the minutes and move on.
That's what I was fixing to say. They voted. If you read the letter, it says that they actually are reaching out to the Franklin County Board to assist in their efforts to obtain said land. And I mean, it came here on Liberty County's letterhead, so with the chairman's signature.
Commissioner Brown, this is Commissioner Ward. Can you clarify that? Did you guys, maybe we could ask you the question, do you want a letter of support, or do we need to write a letter of support for a public hearing or workshop for this?
No, ma'am, we'd like a letter of support, please. As far as the workshop, I think that was, I think maybe the way it sounds, I wasn't aware it was in the minutes like that, but I think that means after we get the letters of support from surrounding counties, then to proceed forward with the workshop. I wasn't aware we had that in the minutes.
I'd also like to point out in the last sentence of the said letter of request for support, it says Liberty County Board of County Commissioners recognizes that this will be a long process, probably involving land swaps. Still, our first step is to show community support for the project. So I think what the commissioner's trying to say, and what I failed to get across to the board, is that there's 4 different ways when we originally started talking about this: land lease, land purchase, land swap, and then of course a land designation of a surplus area. And what we were talking about is Liberty County's already voted to support the project, okay? But we all recognize that the first step, and I've been saying it for 5 years, the first step is public support. And that's not just the request by me, that's the request of everybody up the chain, because they want to see local support. With that being said, local support, once local support is garnered from each county, which we've been successful with every county that we've gone to. Liberty County, I think, they've got 5 counties right now, excluding Franklin County, and they're working with Bay and Taylor currently, hopefully going to have their support by the end of this month. With that being said, my point is, when these requests go out and these support letters come back, then we can show the higher chain of command, quite frankly, the governor and cabinet, that local support's been garnered. Now, as far as Liberty County is concerned, the workshop is to discuss land swap, land purchase, land designation through surplus, or anything like that. That was the reason for, and that's why I say the minutes were a little vague. But Michael Schuler and I talked about this earlier. The workshop was how to proceed to the next step. Now, I think there's been some misconception that these letters went out before Liberty County decided to support it. I asked you to refer back to the letter. I mean, that's one reason why I couldn't get another support letter, because each commissioner said this support letter is fairly self-explanatory. It's arriving on Liberty County's letterhead with the chairman's signature down below, which means that chairman wouldn't sign this letter without board consent, just like this chair. So my point is, the support is there, and I just think the minutes got a little backwards. I think they're kind of a little confusing. But the request is from Liberty County to Franklin County.
Okay.
Just to be clear, what are we swapping again, so I understand that?
We're
for the
not
record?
swapping nothing.
Yeah, I know we are in Franklin County or not.
No, it's nothing in Franklin.
Yeah.
So they're talking about some property that's just in the edge of Liberty County, north of Franklin,
Yeah.
where there used to be a mine, and they're talking about giving that property to the state, for the state to give them the property across the road, across Highway 67, for a mine. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm going.
That's what they're talking about.
Yeah, Bert, Commissioner. All right, up Highway 67. That is the old mine site, and we're talking about going right across the street due west.
Yep.
And the reason why we chose that site is because, one, I know that material better than anybody.
Yep.
I know what's there. 3, environmentally speaking, if it was going to happen, it would have happened in the last 25 years. So that right there, it's also got highway frontage. It's inside Liberty County. We're not out in the middle of the national or the state forest. You know, we've got right off the highway, and quite frankly, that area is where the deposit's the best.
So I guess it's on this board, do we want to continue to write the letter of support that the board voted and approved 3-2? Then we have to take no action today, or if we want to do something different. I mean, I can't make motions or seconds.
Well,
so, and I'm not asking for it. I'm just saying we're either doing something or we're not, but we need to get.
I'm not trying to be indifference to anyone here today or to Liberty County. That's not the point. When the motion was made, we could check the records for us to write a letter. It was based on getting the supporting documents from the minutes to write the letter. Not Chris, excuse me, I'm not trying, again, I'm trying to be indifferent. Not a letter from a chairman. The board was specific. Minutes. Now, if the minutes are wrong, let me finish. If the minutes are wrong, then just have Liberty County correct the minutes, send it to this board, and we write the letters you guys directed us to do. That's simple. Or have the clerk of courts in Liberty County say, hey, there was an error in the minutes. This is not what was typed, and then we'll get it done. I don't want to come across that your staff is trying to block anything. That's not what it is. We're trying to follow this board's directives. That's simple. That's all. If you guys don't want the minutes in there as a requirement anymore, tell us that today, and we'll just go ahead and do whatever you want us to do.
So, Michael, why don't you just reach out and ask them for clarification at Liberty County?
I get a letter from the clerk to clarify the minutes.
If the minutes are wrong, the minutes are wrong. But
Yes.
let them state what's
Because
what.
Commissioner Brown has basically said that's not what we said in the
Right.
minutes. So yeah.
Right, I can see where it would be easy to confuse. You're trying to summarize what was said.
Yes.
It might not be a verbatim of what was said. And they're saying, okay, if you're able to garner all these letters, then we're wanting to hold a workshop to see
do it.
how to proceed.
I hear them.
I can understand.
We're
that.
good.
But we need that clarification from
That's
Liberty
all.
County.
That's all I need, and I'll send it to the clerk myself in Liberty County, get it clarified, and we move on.
Okay.
If that satisfies everybody.
Well, I mean, it's a pleasure to the board if y'all want to make a motion for it, or what, if we can just do
We done made a
direction.
motion for them to get it, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
we have. We have. This board voted to send them a letter of support. We sure did.
I personally don't have a problem with sending a letter, whether it's for a workshop, as Commissioner Brown said, there may be a misconception with the minutes. I mean, it's just a letter of support, in my opinion, but again, I'm one of 5, and it's, I mean, whatever you guys feel like we obligated to do in terms of legal or whatever aspect we need to work on from that.
It was this board stipulation. You could change your stipulation, and we move on.
I still,
Yeah.
So can you bring that back to us the next meeting so we can know if the letter's written or what it was? You know what I'm
Okay,
saying?
yeah.
Because as long as it's good, the board's already directed the letter be written.
Yeah.
Let it be written. If there's some problem, then bring that back to us.
We'll move on and get it done. Yes,
Okay.
sir. I don't have a problem with that at all. And Commissioner Brown, I hope that satisfies the situation. I'll reach out to your clerk, get a clarification, we go from there. We'll send a letter. Is that okay?
Thank you, Commissioners. I really appreciate your support. Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much, sir.
We good?
I think we're good. Do you have anything else you
That
need to
means
say?
the end of y'all's meeting today, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Boy, this has been a long one,
It's a
gentlemen,
legislative
ladies.
session.
Tell you what. All right.
I'm not going
Thank
to say
you.
you're blocking the doorway. I wouldn't say that, but yeah.
Thank you.
Thank y'all very much.
Attorney Schuler, do you have anything else in your report, sir?
No, sir, that was my last action item. I had
It's all
a
good.
informational item. I don't know if Commissioner Bolt wants to have a discussion concerning the Alligator Point MSBU issue or not. We certainly can, but just briefly on that informational item, I've looked at the minutes of this board that were provided to me. I've looked at the ballot language. That there was no action that I have found where this county commission imposed upon either Alligator Point or St. George Island an obligation to purchase any particular type of equipment or set of equipment for providing firefighting services at Alligator Point or on St. George Island. And I'm tying the two together because the ballot to increase the fee at both geographic locations from $50 to $95 annually took place simultaneously. The only restriction on the use of those funds is that they must be used consistently with the MSBU service ordinance for fire and rescue services. That was my finding based on the information that I had to review.
Okay, sounds good.
Commissioner Bolt, is that sufficient?
Yes, sir, I think so. It seems like it's a neutral situation, essentially.
Different board made a different decision.
Sure, yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, is that it, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Commissioners' comments, I want to remind the rest of the board that the Franklin County varsity baseball team is playing a regional playoff game this Friday in Chipley at 7 o'clock their time, 8 o'clock our time. If they win, they advance to a regional final. So, and if that's only the advances, they have to win. But upon winning, the regional final will be hosted in East Point at Franklin County High School. So the baseball team has made it in the playoffs. Just want to make sure you guys are aware.
Good deal.
Well, let me,
Yes.
We've been out all day and still didn't accomplish nothing about the Alligator Point and the St. George Island Park. But sooner, we might as well, if you're gonna have a TDC that's putting all this information all over the world with one of these things here, they sending it out there on this computer, come to Franklin County. Okay. But we need to prepare for that. We got to prepare for it. You can't have them people down here. It make us look bad. And I'm tired of being made like a fool having all them people down there. And they can't use the bathroom. They can't park the cars. They can't eat their dinner. They ain't got no place to eat. I mean, you got to have provision for people to go when you invite them. If we're gonna invite them, we got to put it, stop inviting them if we're not gonna put the provision right there. We know right now, it's gonna cost you from $1 million to $1.5 million for parking lots and fix them up right. It's gonna cost that much money for you to buy a piece of land and have it cemented, striped and everything on them beaches. That's what land costs. You going to the beach, you're not up in the middle of the county or in the forest. So we got to, hey, we either do what we got to do, because it's coming. The people steady coming, and the provision not. So we need to.
And you know, I agree with you, Commissioner Lockley.
We need
I
to
mean,
work on that a little hard.
Yes, sir.
This is the budget preparing time. And I see, look at KOA, a 3.5 acre parking lot right there, potentially. We ought to be planning that as we look at our budget.
Well, I'll say this to the board, you know, I'm not dragging everybody out tomorrow to the luncheon, but I'll tell you, go ahead tomorrow, go a little early and have a discussion with Mr. Solomon and say, hey, what could TDC do? We know how good you are at advertising, how can you help us with infrastructure? Because that's what you're asking for. That's basically what you're asking for,
Well, I think
Commissioner.
that the workshop that we're having next meeting on the TDC increasing from, I think, 2 to 3% helps with that.
Yes,
So-
and have that discussion with him tomorrow. How can that help? So you'll have some direction and some, you know, information to move forward with.
They don't need a penny up at the one time, talking about 2, 3 pennies here, 2, 3 pennies. Get what you're supposed to get. All the way, go all the way and do what you got to do. Because they got, I mean, look at this. Bring that information back. What the lowest county got.
We are.
We are.
What the highest county, our side, what they get. What
We
get a
have,
penny?
we have a neighboring county that collects 5 and we collect 2.
Yeah.
We're way behind, way.
I mean, if you're gonna do it right, or either drop it. Drop it, just disperse the TDC. Florida is a tourist state. Florida is a tourist state now. They done made it from Miami, from Key West to Pensacola. And they want tourists. They don't want our, they don't want nothing. They want, the man want tourists.
Yep.
That's what the people, I mean, for real.
Yep.
I mean, you know, that's what they, everything else coming this way, they look like they put poison to it or something, so they die.
It's crazy. Any other commissioners' comments? I was gonna see if somebody jumped up before I hit the gavel.